Hi. I think it's been maybe 2 weeks since I did a painting on YouTube. I have done a Zoom painting of Lily for the classes that I'm teaching. I suppose it's because I'm teaching some online classes now that my attention is kind of there rather than doing a daily video. But a daily video doesn't take very long, and it's a good start to my day, so if I can manage it, I'll get back into it again. It's probably because I'm doing a newsletter tomorrow that I've decided to do a video, because I like to put a new video on the newsletter, you know. Anyway, so, and also because I came across this picture of myself. I've stuck the phone onto the paper now. Well, I can lift it up, look. Oh God. I came across a picture of myself that I've never seen before. Like, it wasn't one that we had in the house, so you can't really see it. Oh, you can't really see it there now, but I think I must have been about 10 or something. You can see it better here. And I quite like the mischievous kind of look of me, you know. And I thought, I'm going to do a painting of that. As I say, it's not a familiar picture. It's not one of my ones that I remember seeing around the house, so somebody must have uncovered it. I just found it there on online. Anyway, so I thought I would do a little painting of myself from the phone. I just edited it so that it cut myself out. And I was trying to fiddle around for a while to get you positioned in a good spot, but I think this is the best I can do, really, just like that. So hopefully it won't be too distorted. I'm going to move down a little bit. I want to be comfortable now seeing the photo and the space that I'm going to paint myself in. Gosh, I'm really thirsty today. Okay, I think I might have been around 10 in this painting. And I know I kind of refer to my 10-year-old self often, as though that's when I was most kind of playful. My memory of being, you know, if I feel playful now, I feel like a 10-year-old. So I seem to say that anyway. So there must have been some shenanigans at that age. And I certainly look like I'm up for a laugh there. Okay. So I see how it goes now, and I don't know really what I'm going to do really with this. I thought yellow ochre was a good place to start, though. It seems like there's a kind of a warm glow around the temples here. Maybe it's helpful as well to be painting a portrait where the person is smiling. So it can sometimes feel a bit tricky. I've just turned the heating off. It's quite warm in here. You know, it's hard to get the balance, isn't it? Sometimes it can be really cold, and then after not too long at all, the whole place is really warm then. So I'm kind of creating the shape of the face best I can here now as a starting point. I'm making my face slightly bigger than I'm seeing it on the screen. Lily's got her music exam coming up, like she's doing voice and piano. So you can maybe hear her singing upstairs there. You know, they can choose 2 instruments, I think, for 4th year. And so she's choosing voice. Actually, we went out to get milk and petrol there and ended up going on a little road trip around the place while she was practicing her song. And it's really lovely. I love to hear her singing. And I've learned most of the words of the song as well, so I can kind of belt it out as well. The one that she's doing in the end is Katie Tunstall. Suddenly I see... No, that's not it. Something about water. I forget now again. Anyway, it's lovely. So I'm sticking with the yellow ochre, and I think there's a touch of, oh, it's alizarin crimson I put with the yellow ochre actually. Alizarin crimson and yellow ochre is what's giving me this colour. I'm just finding the slightly more alizarin crimson there for the cheek area, and changing the consistency of colours to each other as I move around and notice slight changes. It's kind of interesting, you know, looking at my young face, feeling like what I'm doing is plotting the jaw that I still have, you know, this very same face, really, plotting it on paper. And it's kind of making me feel my own face a little bit more, something like that, I don't know. Kind of feeling myself from the inside emerging. Let's see now if I do arrive. And so I was saying to the folk on the watercolour course, you know, you can constantly be adjusting things. This isn't even the Bockingford paper now. I usually like Bockingford because you can lift off easily. But even when it's not the Bockingford paper, there's still a possibility of adjusting edges. Even if you can't lift off what went before, as long as it's light enough, you're able to continually make the changes as you go. I want you to see a bit more easily what I'm doing there. Don't know if that's any better, but at least you're a bit closer anyway. Right, what was I saying there now? Oh yeah, that's fine. You can adjust the edges all the way through. You don't have to get it set in stone early on. And there's something really pleasing about the finding, being curious and trusting that what you put down now is good enough for now, and you can make a change later on if need be. But there's something quite pleasing about that finding process and having the evidence of the marks, the evidence of the finding on the page as well. Now I'm making a mix with ultramarine blue and Van Dyke brown in order to describe the darker hair. Just really as well to let some of those bits dry on the face. I feel like there'll definitely be some alteration to the shape of the jaw there. Just now I'm going to divert attention from it and do something up here. There's a shadow behind me as well now, so I don't know how much of it is head and how much of it is shadow. I just need to make an educated guess, I think. I think that's the living room wall in our old house. I love that house. We had a sea view. You could hear the sea. It was a big, long, yellow house. It looked bigger than it was really because it was just one layer deep. But there was loads of windows in the front, and we had 4 bedrooms. One was a spare bedroom, and then we had the girls' bedroom, the boys' bedroom. So there was 4 of us in one room, and the 3 boys, and then my mum and dad. And we had a spare bedroom where, when I think the summer that I was 15, I did bed and breakfast in that bedroom. That was my summer job. It was good. We made good friends. And it was a great spot really, because right along the coast there, you know, West Cork, it was between Kinsale and Clonakilty, if any of you know the area. And it was a great spot for people coming and passing through, you know, so we did get a good lot of business. My mum used to do B&B as well, like. But I think she let me do it kind of when I was 15. I don't know how much of a help I was really, or if I did it all, I can't remember. But I liked that I was given the responsibility. It felt kind of enterprising. It's funny looking back now that we kept that spare room the whole time, even although there was like myself and Maura and Eileen and Rita all in one bedroom. It was good though. Rita was a good bit younger, and when she came along, we used to tell her bedtime stories and things. Good memories. But yeah, there was something really beautiful and mystical kind of about being able to hear the sea. And for a long time we had wooden windows, so you could really hear the sea. I remember sitting inside in because the windows had a kind of they were set back, like you could sit. Yeah, they were level with the floor in our bedroom, and there was an attic kind of sloped ceiling, and you could sit. When you drew the curtains, you could sit between the curtains and the glass of the window. And I remember sitting there, you know, sometimes with that lovely kind of yearning of youth, looking out the window at the moon and the moon on the sea. I remember when I was about this age, actually, staying up all night with my cousin. She came down from Dublin and led me astray. We stayed up for the whole night, and it was a Saturday night, and we had Mass the next day, and I remember the two of us falling asleep in Mass. And I think that was the same day that she encouraged me to walk in cowshed as well. She said it was very good, like the expensive spas, she was saying. He used to have mud. I suppose they did have mud wraps, but I don't think it was cowshed. Anyway, we did that. So, but I think we must have had an early night then. But I remember on that night, the two of us were sitting on that windowsill between the curtain and the window. It was a cold enough spot. But the main thing was that, like, the sea, I think, filled the view. Do you know, it was mostly sea. I loved that. So this has dried a fair bit now that I'm able to reposition things. Yeah, I think the neck will be about here. Really, it was blessed as a child. Like, you couldn't ask for a better place to be brought up. Such a lovely spot. And we had loads of cousins all over the place. So there was always a kind of ready-made party. If ever anyone's birthday was on, you just invite the Maloney's, our cousins, the Maloney's. There were 7 of them as well. And that was like a party straight away. My mum used to make a cake called a slab. And a big, I suppose it wasn't really a cake, it was just a slab, like, that's why it was called a slab. It was a cake, but maybe slab was just like a slab stone. It was that size. But there would be hundreds and thousands on it. And that was a real treat, like. Now I'm going to paint the dark of my hair in to meet the face so that I can see whether or not I'm making a convincing jawline here. Coming in to meet the ears. But yeah, we used to go to the forestry walk then in the village, outside the village in Kilbrittain. That would be our spot for birthday parties. There was a bridge over a little river there, and there was walkways through the woods that we used to have races. I suppose there would have been maybe not 14 of us in one go, but there would have been at least 10 running through the woods, and we'd let the youngest one go first, and then you'd be trying to kind of get, so each person, like the slowest would start and the fastest would be the last person, but they'd often take over everybody and still win. Yeah, it was usually, I think, my cousin Padraig that used to win. It's fairly fast. Just going to find the position of the nose there now, and then maybe something a little bit more here. My goodness, it's a funny thing, placing the pattern of my face as a child. I think we must have been told to look excited or something. It looks like an action photo. I remember my Aunt Monica used to get us to do action photos, so she might have been there that day. It might have been her. I remember us at Blarney Castle one time with her, and she made us look as though we were all in the middle of playing a game of ball. We all had kind of dynamic poses to strike. Which was great fun. I went to see the movie Tootsie with her when I was about 15, I'd say. And myself and I think my sister went with my aunt. And she just had this incredibly infectious laugh, and she couldn't stop herself. But in the cinema, it was like she was really laughing loudly. I always remember that. It was great fun. Tootsie, I must see that film again. It was Dustin Hoffman, I think, was it? I think it was. She thought it was hilarious, but the funniest thing for us was her laughing. And we're very lucky too, like to have my mum's sisters and brothers, but mostly like we used to kind of often meet up with our aunts, and just I remember feeling a bit like a fly on the wall, like you'd be just kind of listening to the different stories that they'd be telling each other, and you could almost be invisible. At least I remember feeling that way, like that I was party to it, but I didn't. It was nice, like we used to take walks all the way over to Coolmain, a couple of miles. Yeah, I suppose my mum and her sisters, like I would be talking with my sisters, and the children wouldn't, they would be just quite happy trundling along. I suppose that's how we were then. Right, I think I'm going to deepen the tone of the neck. I want to be sure I've left enough space for my mouth there now. Yeah, I think if I just put some tone on the neck area, I'll know then whether the shape feels right or not. I'd be giving out to the girls here, or feeling like I should give out about the mess in their bedroom sometimes. And when I think back to the state of our bedroom growing up, like, my goodness. I remember I had a friend who was really good at tidying up, and she used to come for sleepovers, and she would love to get our room sorted. She would spend ages like just tidying up our room. It was great. It was nice when it was done, but none of us ever really had the inclination to spend a lot of time tidying up. Whereas when I would go to my friend's house, that was one of her main hobbies, I'd say, was tidying and sorting her ornaments and all that. There was no such thing as ornaments in our bedroom, really. As in, like, it wasn't that kind of a bedroom. But yeah, I used to love when Evelyn came to visit, she would sort it all out for us. And it might stay tidy then for a day or two. Right, so I'm doing my eyes now. It's kind of an unusual position, isn't it, for an eye to be in. Looking all the way over to the right there. Yeah, I think that needs to lift. Mm-hmm. was just looking through some photographs there, and I came across them from, it must be about 10 years ago, when we were over staying at my mum's. Of course, they had moved from the farmhouse then, and the farmhouse was being rented out, but they were still very, in the same locality, like the new house is just beside the old one. But it was really nice. My Erin, my middle daughter, made really good friends with our next door neighbour's daughter. When we were small, we used to play with them, so it was lovely that they carried on the connection. They made the Harbourview Hotel. They had a little camp. And I think every time we used to go over for a few years, they were the best of buddies, the two of them. Their birthdays were only a day or two apart. Aoife and Erin. So maybe the next time we go now they could connect again. Both 18 now. It's not a huge amount of tonal variations in the eyes here. I can't really see any difference between the white of the eye and the skin around it, so I'm kind of inventing it a little bit, the contrast there. Right, let me move down now that I've got a little bit of red in the brush. I'm going to start trying to find the corner of the mouth at least. This will make a nice change, one to the self-portrait where I'm actually cheerful looking. I think I could learn a lot from this 10-year-old. And the whole freedom and playfulness thing. So trying to find the corner of the mouth in relation to the eye. And I think the next thing then is some dark patches inside in the mouth. Under the teeth there's a shadow. I think that might be a helpful one to find. And it almost links up with the lower lip, that shadow, so I could just put it there. And the same on the other side, only the shadow on that side is below the nose really. Like there. And then there's another little bit of a shadow there that links up with the corner of the mouth on this side. Okay, a bit more red now I think to describe the lower lip. I'm looking at the direction that the lips take in relation to the jaw, and here they're pretty much parallel to the jaw, so I feel like it's true enough to what I'm seeing. I've had a good day today. I was telling my friend I went to meet some women friends for brunch. In fact, I had a scone, it was really nice. And I was meeting them for brunch, and I don't even know all the women in the group, but there's just this lovely kind of camaraderie. It's a feeling of real connection, community, and kind of real conversation. Straight away it feels like we're into the important stuff of life, and I don't even really know what a lot of them do for a living, but I know that we're on the same page a lot of the time in the conversations we have. Anyway, I left there. I went in feeling a little bit bubbly because it was not bubbly, but butterflies in my belly slightly. Do you know when you kind of are going into a group and didn't really know everybody, like I said, and I felt a little bit nervous, but it was fine. I knew I would be fine, but it was interesting to notice that before going in, the kind of nervousness, and then straight away just right into the stuff of life, chatting away. It was good. and I came out, I felt like I was a few inches taller leaving the restaurant, and I ended up going to another coffee shop straight after. I had my laptop with me, and I did all my jobs. I had jobs that I was putting off, and it felt really good. And I think it was in no small part connected to that feeling of just having a chat with folk, really clear, sincere communication, and it just made me feel a bit more like taking action, positive action or something. I don't know why. Well, I suppose I do know why. I suppose, it just helped my inner empowering feelings, confidence, that kind of carry on. It's a bit like painting. Confidence is 99% of the whole thing. I'm going to bring some darker tones into the eyes now. It's a bit more blue than brown, isn't it? Yeah, so I moved away from the mouth again a little bit, just to give that breathing space for a while, and I thought I'd go back up and try and explain the eyes and other areas that are that dark. That could really be a bit lower, that little bit of hair. That's Maisie sighing over there. We had a good walk this afternoon when I got back. So for over an hour maybe, and she met a few other dogs, so she had a good run about. It was really windy. There's lots of branches and things that had been blown down. I mean, it had been really windy. It wasn't so windy when we were walking, really. I'm going to subdue that red a little bit now by putting a touch of green into it. And just lift up the corner there a bit. I think I could extend my head a little bit higher up. Just at least there anyway, maybe. Right, sure, I may as well do something in the top now if I'm getting a little bit kind of mixed up. Or just a little bit unsure around things in the face. I thought I may as well do the next biggest thing, which would be the jumper there as it extends out and around the shape of my neck and shoulder. So I'll get the bigger brush out. And then over here. And when that dries enough, now I'd say I might go back and do a little bit more sculpting of the neck. So I think it could come in a little bit. The neck, but the hair really, I mean. In fact, I think I can do it now. I'd say it's dry enough. I want to redefine this edge here. Push and lift. Just creating a little bit narrower face, I think, there. And the shadow here is quite deep. I hope that it's not going to bleed now. No, it's not too bad. The shadow is deeper there in tone. And I think I could narrow in the neck on that side then. Just a little touch. And what I might do there now is just to find some shadows to occupy this side of the face, because that I think will carve in as well there. I was feeling like it was all very white and big, that skin shape. So finding tones in there seems, I think, to be helpful. You know, I've been staying up quite late the last few nights and having conversations with myself about it, because I'd be saying like, what am I doing? And part of me is it's a funny kind of conversation I have with myself. I'll tell you now. I'll try and explain it a little bit, because there's a part of me, in fact a big part of me these days, is wanting to really tune in and just listen to what I want. Myself, what is it that I actually want to do, and where possible to give myself the gift of doing that, whatever it is, because after all, I want to enjoy the life that I'm living, you know. I want it to be, and it's my responsibility to select things that I enjoy doing. And as I was reading in James Clear's newsletter yesterday, he was saying, you know, think of something that you enjoy doing and see how you could extend that, like even just for 5 minutes in your day. If there's something that you could enjoy doing, see if you can extend it for 5 minutes. And it's just one example of the kind of thoughts I'd be having now around, you know, what things do I want to do with. And then the other thing is what's good for me. And I know that I love having time to myself, and there's something about late at night, that feeling of the world being asleep and having nothing to do and no demands, and just having my own time and space then, you know. So I can understand why I would want that. And while I don't think it's a long-term healthy thing to be doing now and then, and certainly the last few nights I have been really feeling like taking that time for myself. But the thing is, I don't really sleep in the morning either. I've kind of had things on most mornings, and anyway, I don't really like sleeping in. So as a result, I'm fairly sleepy sometimes during the day, and that makes me eat more muffins and coffee when I'm a bit sleepy. So there we are, and that's then probably not too good for me health-wise in the long term either. So some of what I want to do is jarring up against what I need for myself to keep myself healthy. But there's, like a lot of things in life, isn't there a happy medium too? And sometimes the act of kindness to the self is to actually stay up late eating cake. So I gave myself permission to do that this week. And for some days I haven't done this hugely now, but occasionally I lay down and have a little siesta, or just even listen to a podcast or something, that kind of thing during the middle of the day, so that I feel like I'm compensating a bit for not having had 8 hours sleep at night time. And there is something, I love that, if there's nobody else around, I love lying in the sun, and the winter sun is low in the sky, so it really fills the living room during the day. And there's nothing I enjoy more than lying down, sometimes on the carpet. If the sun isn't hitting the sofa, I'll lay down on the carpet, get myself really comfy, and let the sun just hit my skin. Oh, it's fantastic. It's one of my favourite things. And on days when I'm feeling a bit more vigorous, actually going in the water at Gladhouse and having the sun hit my skin there is a fantastic thing altogether. That's really amazing, actually, that when I have got the energy and the impetus to go for a swim. Sometimes, like I was saying to my aunt, it's kind of a good sign that I haven't been swimming so much, because for a while there it was out of sheer desperation to just get out of my head that I would get out of bed and straight over to the cold water and in. No nonsense happening in my head then. So the fact that I wasn't in there meant that I was after, that there was a kind of a calmer quality of mind. But then I went in the other day because a friend was telling me again about, I just heard a few folk talking about swimming in the cold, and I thought, God, I might try that again. I forget what day it was now, but I went in 2 or 3 days in a row. The first day back after a few weeks was, I think, last Monday. And oh my God, it was the most glorious day. I can't believe then, like when I went in, I couldn't believe that I was after getting out of the way of it. After letting myself get out of the way of it, it's a funny thing, some of the most amazing experiences in our lives, do you not find that it's only in the moment that you can fully acknowledge the magic and brilliance of it? It's kind of, sometimes it just stays in that present moment, and it doesn't extend, like it's not possible to actually drum it up. Although, I maybe told you before, I do the gratitude list thing in bed at night time, sometimes in the morning if I'm too sleepy. And what I have found is that I can drum it up when I'm drawing it. Like I can draw the feeling of myself in the water. I draw not just the feeling, I draw myself in the water sometimes, or a figure in the water, arms outstretched and the sun belting down. And in the act of drawing it, I do summon up the emotion again. It's thanks to my sister Eileen that I've been doing that, because she suggested drawing something in the gratitude list every day. And of course, I think it is common knowledge that when we do anything creative, there's a good for us. And even, you know, this feels good for me. And I think it's not alone the painting. It's the chat, the connection, feeling that there's someone out there and chatting, just like saying whatever I want to say. And it doesn't, you know, without it having to be anything profound. I think that's the thing. Sometimes, like when you do a creative thing, like even knitting or crochet, or I would imagine, like a few years ago, myself and some friends made a net of poppies, crochet poppies, for the hedge here for you know, the end of the war, to mark the end of the war, whatever. I think it's the 11th of November, isn't it, or something. Anyway, it just felt like a really lovely day to be sitting. It was all women that day, but to be sitting amongst other women and just casually chatting as our hands were occupied with stuff. So it felt like there was no huge onus on us to be creating fantastic conversation. Like it was just a meandering in and out with words and laughter and sometimes quietness, and there was a lovely rhythm to the day. And it was lovely at the end too to see the whole thing come together, where we had all been working on individual parts and stitching on the donated poppies and all that. At the end we were able to hold it up and gloriously kind of recognise the good that we'd done. Something like that. It's like the combination of all of that stuff, I think, is good for us. Chatting, making something with our hands, having a bit of purpose behind it. And yeah, just coming together in a casual way with no big expectations around having to say anything cutting edge or anything, just normal stuff. A lot of life is that, isn't it? Just the normal stuff. And I think normal is underrated sometimes. Simple. Like my friend was telling me about her fluffy hot water bottle. I thought, yeah, you know, that's one of my greatest pleasures in life, is getting into bed, the air being chilly, and having 2 hot water bottles. And now I've got a fierce comfy bed as well. I bought a new bed this week. I had my old bed for years and years, and actually the base was broken and the mattress was old. It used to be my daughter's bed. So I went and got a new bed, pocket sprung mattress, and I've been sleeping. Aside from not having enough sleep, the quality of my sleep, I think, has been a lot better. At least I wake up without a sore back, because for a long time there with the bad bed, my back was sore, and it was the chiropractor said to me, "You're waking up every morning with a sore back. That tells me that maybe your bed might need to be changed." And you know, I'd never even considered that really. Well, I thought about it, but never. I think it was just the impetus I needed then to go and do it. Like when she suggested that, I thought, okay, time to treat Anya to a new bed. So I love it. But yeah, simple pleasures. So the hot water bottle in bed, the trees outside my window. And today, I was telling my friend, it was thrilling really. It was so windy, and the trees were really kind of being hauled over to one side in the wind. It was dramatic. I did wake a few times last night actually at the power of the wind. It was really, I love those trees just out the window. There's obviously no leaves in them now, but there's something very haunting about their branches against the sky. It's one of the things I've really fallen in love with recently is the kind of, there's something about the way that trees grow. They kind of grow down to meet us, and then there's also this extension up and out. It's just seemed like so open-hearted or something, the way branches extend in all directions. And there's this lovely edge where the tiniest ones meet the sky. Okay. I'd say I'm almost done here. It feels close enough to me. There's definitely things in it that feel like me. I'm not sure if I could go a bit further with likeness. I remind myself a little bit of my middle daughter, Erin, mostly I think in this photograph. Erin's gone out tonight celebrating her friend's 18th birthday. She's actually going to be 19 in March. Erin. But she's one of the older ones in her group. And then Lily will be 15 in June. And Hope was 25 in January. Hope has started going to the chiropractor as well. I've been really feeling a lot more flexible since going along. Kind of suppleness in my body that feels new, which is brilliant. So I'm doing, it was Hope's birthday present, chiropractor trip. You know, when I was, I think 7, my brother Oliver was born. And I'm just wondering now, like he would have been maybe 3 or 4 around this time. Because I think I'm about 11 maybe. Yeah, 11 or 12 even. But up until he was 6 or 7, I would say I was his, well, I was mad about Oliver. I used to read him stories going to bed and everything, and carry him on my hip. And I remember having thin hair on one side because he used to love pulling my hair when he was on my hip. And I used to just let him. I remember I was nearly bald on one side, like. I was so mad about Oliver. What a darling little boy he was. I think that's, like, at that age, 6 or 7, you'd be kind of mad about babies, wouldn't you? So I wonder where Oliver was now when this photo was being taken. I had Brendan and Patrick in between, of course, my other 2 brothers, and they were closer in age to each other and to me. And then Rita came along 7 years after Oliver. So we had another baby to play with, dress up. I remember we used to dress her up. I remember dressing Rita up like Madonna when she was 3 from the Like a Virgin video. Honest to God. I was actually looking for another photograph of myself. It was, gosh, this video is nearly an hour long. I was looking for another photograph of myself with pigtails from when I was maybe 6. Yeah, I was 6 because it was the time that we all got photographs taken when Oliver was a baby by a professional photographer. And I have that photograph somewhere. It's in a book somewhere. I can't find the book. It doesn't matter anyway. It was kind of nice to. I thought when I saw this picture, I thought actually I've been connecting in my heart with the 10-year-old me more recently. When I go in swimming and dancing and all that carry on, it feels like I'm connecting with this impish 10-year-old. So it was kind of good to find this picture to draw. I wonder if you've got any photographs of yourselves as youngsters and whether you'd like to do this. I think I quite like this exercise actually. I've got a newsletter to write now, so better get moving. Yeah, I don't think I've got much more to say here. There's Maisie over on the couch doing her sighing. Okay, I'd say it's my bedtime. So there you have it. It's my attempt at me at I think 10 years old-ish. Okay, thanks very much for your attention. Here I am. A far cry from that fresh-faced 10-year-old. I really need to make a bit more of an effort, don't I, when I'm doing the videos? Just to, Anyway, that's not what it's about, is it? So thanks very much for joining me. There she is again. And maybe you can embrace your 10-year-old child inside and do something kind for your wee one. Okay, have a good sleep. Good night.